No one noticed him that morning. People passed by without slowing down, their eyes fixed on their phones, their minds busy with their own problems. To them, he was just another homeless man sitting near the bus stop on 7th Avenue, invisible, forgotten, easy to ignore. His name was Daniel. Daniel used to have a life once. A small apartment, a steady job, a family photo he carried in his pocket until it fell apart from too much folding. But life had a quiet way of collapsing on him. One bad decision after another, a job lost, medical bills piling up, pride slowly turning into silence. Before he knew it, the streets became his address. That morning was colder than usual. Daniel pulled his thin jacket tighter around himself and rubbed his hands together, trying to keep some warmth. He hadn't eaten since the night before. Hunger sat heavy in his stomach, dull but constant, like a reminder that never went away. As he stood up to stretch his legs, something caught his eye near the curb. A leather wallet. It was lying face down, slightly worn, as if it had slipped unnoticed from someone's pocket. Daniel looked around instinctively. No one seemed to be searching for anything. Cars passed. Footsteps echoed. Life moved on. Slowly, he bent down and picked it up. The wallet felt heavier than he expected. His fingers trembled as he opened it. Inside were credit cards, an ID, family photos, and a thick stack of cash. Daniel froze. For a moment, the noise of the city faded. All he could hear was his own breathing. That money could change everything. A hot meal, a motel room, clean clothes, a few days of peace. Maybe even a bus ticket to another city, a fresh start, even if it was temporary. No one would know. No one ever looked at him anyway. His mind began to argue with his heart. Life hasn't been fair to you, a voice whispered. You deserve a break. Just this once. Daniel closed the wallet and held it tightly. Then he opened it again and looked at the ID. The name was Michael Harris. There was an address not far from where Daniel stood. Daniel let out a slow breath. I can't, he whispered to himself. He didn't know why the words came out so easily, but once they did, there was no turning back. This isn't mine. The walk to the address felt longer than it should have. Daniel passed restaurants filled with people laughing over breakfast, offices buzzing with activity, homes warm with life inside. With every step, doubt tried to catch up with him. You're crazy, his hunger protested. You need this more than he does. But something deeper kept him moving. When he reached the apartment building, Daniel hesitated at the door. His reflection stared back at him in the glass, tired eyes, unshaven face, clothes that told a story before he ever opened his mouth. He pressed the buzzer anyway. After a moment, the door opened. A man in his late 30s stood there, phone in hand, worry etched across his face. Yes, the man asked cautiously. Daniel swallowed. I think you dropped this. He held out the wallet. The man's eyes widened. He grabbed it, opened it quickly, and exhaled in relief. Oh my God, he said. I didn't even realize it was gone. He looked up at Daniel, confused. You brought it back. Daniel nodded. Yeah, found it by the bus stop. The man stared at him for a long moment, then glanced inside again. All the money's here, he said quietly. Daniel shifted his weight. That's yours. The man extended his hand. I'm Michael. Daniel. Michael hesitated, then reached into the wallet and pulled out some cash. Please, he said. Take this. At least let me help you. Daniel shook his head. I didn't do it for that. Michael's hand froze. Something about Daniel's voice, calm, tired, honest, struck him deeply. Thank you, Michael said finally, his voice thick. You have no idea what this means. Daniel simply nodded, turned around, and walked away. He didn't look back. Days passed. Then weeks. Life didn't magically change for Daniel that day. He still slept on cold pavement. Still counted coins. Still waited in soup kitchen lines. But something inside him felt lighter, steadier. Like he had proven something, if not to the world, then to himself. One afternoon, as Daniel sat outside the same bus stop, a familiar voice called out. Daniel. He looked up. It was Michael. But this time, Michael wasn't rushed or distracted. He held a coffee in one hand and a paper bag in the other. I've been looking for you, Michael said. Daniel frowned. Why? Michael sat beside him and handed him the bag. Because I couldn't forget what you did. Inside the bag was food, warm, real food. I told myself I'd thank you properly if I ever saw you again, Michael continued. And I realized something else too. Michael worked for a small construction company. They were short-handed. They needed someone reliable, someone honest. I can't promise you anything big, Michael said carefully. But I can promise you a chance. Daniel stared at him, unsure if he was dreaming. A job? He asked. Michael nodded. A start. Daniel's eyes filled with tears he hadn't allowed himself to shed in years. He looked away, embarrassed. All I did was return a wallet, he said. Michael shook his head. No, he replied softly. You chose honesty when no one was watching. That says everything. Months later, Daniel stood in front of a mirror in a clean shirt, adjusting the collar with shaking hands. He had a small room now. A steady paycheck. A routine. Most importantly, he had dignity again. Sometimes, when he passed the bus stop, he'd look at the sidewalk and smile. Not because he found a wallet there, but because he found himself.